Kyoya Ootari is the son of one of Japan's most influential and wealthiest families. He lives in a world without worry or issue and is admired by pretty much all of his peers. But while Kyoya has been gifted and blessed all his life, there was a moment that shifted that. One that would become the way he would find his true happiness and how he became he is today. A moment that would challenge everything he believed was right, his relationship with his family. It would become a moment that would not only change the course of his life, but one that would alter mine as well. Kyoya is from one of my all-time favorite animes, being Ouran High School Host Club, which deals with a bunch of handsome boys from Ouran Academy, a school for the rich and beautiful children growing up to succeed their families' companies. These young, attractive boys would show others from the school a really good time and fulfill their desires. In the club, each of the members appeal to their customers who have way too much time on their hands by entertaining their guests doing fun cosplay, games, events, and the club's co-founder and vice president is none other than Kyoya. Now, each of the club members have their own traits that make them beloved by their clients. There's Mori, the strong silent type, Honey, the sweet loving boy Lolita, the fan favorite mischievous twins Hikaru and Karu, the main character and new upcoming natural rookie Haruhi, and of course the princely Tamaki Suo, who founded and leads the club. Now, Kyoya is requested as well for his cool and smart persona who really behind the scenes keeps the club running. But why? Why would someone with such a prestigious background as being from the Ootari family help create a club that seems as silly as this with no major impact to show for it? His family-owned company, the Ootari Group, owns a bunch of companies within the medical field mostly, and it's one of the most notorious families of Japan. Kyoya, being the third son in his family, had a rough path ahead though. He has two brothers born before him that lead successful lives with tremendous feats to live up to the family name as really the future successors of the Ootari Group. Because Kyoya is the third born, he has no chance to becoming the successor of the family. Whether he wants to or not doesn't really matter. What does matter is that he is the third son. That means he still has a lot to live up to and ways of things that he has to do, like being the top of his class, maintaining relationships with other wealthy families that have their kids at his school, and living a life that really has been assigned to him, regardless if it's one that's gonna make him happy or not. He just has to do it as the third born Ootari son. He's in a place that he will never rise to the top and will have to be one that supports his older brothers and nothing more. He has to paint the perfect picture in the frame he's been given. Then the faithful meeting came. Tamaki Suo, who is pretty much assured to be the next Suo family heir. And with the Suos being another good family to be on good terms with, of course, it's Kyoya's job to befriend Tamaki. As Kyoya's dad says, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And this task isn't a new one for Kyoya. He's used to constantly putting on faces and fulfilling demands and wishes of other people at his school to make sure he has that great image for the Ootari name. He can read people like a book. But there's one problem here. Tamaki's a complete dumbass. He's a foreigner that fantasizes about seeing everything in Japan, has wild fantasies about the culture that Kyoya has to educate him about and fulfill his every whim and desire, taking him all over the country. That takes up far more of his time and energy than planned. But worst of all, Kyoya fails to read Tamaki like the others. It creates a roaring fire in him coming from the need to not just succeed in this task, but it's actually a challenge that Tamaki's presenting to Kyoya without really knowing it. And it's a challenge that Kyoya wants to best. And through it all, Kyoya has envy for Tamaki, whether he wants to admit it or not. He's living life to the fullest and being the most genuine self he can be. In the background, being an only child with no other siblings to compete with, so he could just succeed the family. And this, along with Tamaki's challenge he poses, makes something start happening in Kyoya. cracks in Kyoya's well-mannered poise began to show. They were beginning to grow as he had finally begun letting these passionate emotions of anger and competitiveness seep through. Expressions that went against the frame he believes he must stay in. These emotions were just a nuisance. Kyoya's always been in control of his life, or so he felt, with his emotions and the limits that he has to stay in. But Tamaki presented his first real unpredictable factor that he hadn't dealt with before. Then it happens. Tamaki comes to visit Kyoya at the Ootari estate, and the cracks continue to grow. Kyoya is actually brought to tears at a beautiful display of Tamaki's piano skills, an uncontrollable emotion that he was shocked that he could do. Then he has a slight outburst at hearing Tamaki question Kyoya's true desires being unfulfilled. He sees it in his eyes, the eyes of somebody that's just not happy with his situation. The eyes of someone that's trying and yet not really trying for what he really wants to work towards. And then the break. Tamaki apparently is choosing to not pursue succeeding his family, even though he's in a place that Kyoya will never find himself in. A place he's never imagined being lucky enough to have. A place that makes him finally express his wish.
何ふざけたこと言ってる。なぜそんな簡単に諦めたようなことが言える。お前は俺とは違う。努力すればいくらでも上に行けるチャンスを手にしてるだろう。だったらなぜもっと努力をしない。なぜその恵まれた立場を利用しない。お前は一体何なんだ。
Kyoya has always believed, regardless of his ability, he will never be able to become who he truly is. Someone that can exceed his brothers. Someone that actually may have more potential than them. Someone that isn't as friendly as others may think. And someone that wants to live his life how he wishes to. Someone who wishes to paint their own picture.
なんだ、努力してないのはお前の方だろ。兄貴たちを超えたきゃ超えればいい。何もしてないのに諦めてるのはお前の方だ。
This moment just resonated with me. The idea of painting a picture that has no frame, creating something that you know has no limit, and becoming someone with no expectations to fulfill. Kyoya deserved to be Kyoya, and if that meant being less than or more than his brothers, that's for him and everyone else to find out. He deserves to be that. Kyoya was now free. Free to be the man he truly is, whether his ability is more or less than what he should be. And he was free to wear the true devilish smile that he had, and not the simple kind one that will cater to everyone. All of the characters have a compelling story to tell that Tamaki helped them discover who they were and that version of themselves that can overcome the fears that they have about the world. But Kyoya's just hit me the most because he gets to create his painting. The idea of doing what you love that can actually exceed the version of you that you believe is right is just such a promising aspect. So many of us are so scared to find out what we can or will paint without a frame. How small or how big would our picture be if we just let our brushes fly? Who would you become or what would you create if you were truly free to do so? And that is the lesson that Kyoya Ootari brings. It has been 16 years since Ouran High School Host Club aired its first episode today. You could help bring it back and see where Kyoya goes in the future by checking out the playlist on the screen, where you'll see how you can make that happen, as well as getting other people's thoughts on the anime. The anime that inspired this message that I want to leave you with: be geek, be proud, be awesome.